Check my monitor. I think you kind of. Just don't watch.
Well, all right. Welcome, everybody. Of course, Animals as leaders right here. Let's give it up. Awesome. So great to see so many people sticking around. Max, thanks for being here. We're here to hear some questions from you. So there's a mic right over here. You can line up and we'll chat for a little bit. Oh my. With a band.
Who's got questions?
Who's got questions?
Step right up.
Don't be shy.
No mercy.
That guitar you were playing with for physical education is?
I think you may have to repeat your question.
Sorry, that wasn't on. Can you explain what exactly that guitar that you were playing for physical education is? It's wild as fuck. I want to.
Yeah, let's. That guitar is was custom made by a luthier named Rick Toon, using aircraft grade aluminum and driftwood apparently. And the fingerboard is made from Tortex too, which is a type of plastic. He's all about ergonomics and finding the most resonant materials for the guitar. So avoiding parasitic loss and stuff like that with transferring the string energy to the body of the guitar. And the shape is inspired by, he took a screenshot of me playing guitar in a seated position, and he drew the shape from like the space, the negative space of where my arms were.
So extra sexy is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a cuddle.
Yeah, it's like so ugly that it's beautiful or something, right? Kind of like.
Hi guys, thanks for the show tonight. You bring such an interesting songwriting experience, and I was just wondering, why is it metal that you choose to write the songs, that style that you're choosing?
Metal as a genre is pretty open-minded. Like if we were playing reggae, we'd have to be on the upbeats all the time and using like major triads, you know? If we're playing a blues, there's a definitive structure. Metal doesn't have all that. There's only like a dynamic requirement. It has to be like too loud for your parents, basically. But yeah, I think that's why. I don't know.
I think we also grew up playing and listening to metal. And you know, being fans of guitar for metal was kind of one of the main like sources of getting inspiration. And you know, we just embraced it all our lives. So I think using metal as like the platform to use all these different styles was kind of the, you know, the glue that kind of allowed it to happen. Thanks, guys.
It's aggressive.
Hey, what's up, guitar person?
What's up?
I just have a question about composition. I know that Tosin, you've mentioned in interviews previously that you kind of use a lot of your warm-up routines to transform them into riffs. And I was just wondering how you guys kind of put everything together.
I mean, each song is different. I know Javier writes, well, I'll let you talk about how you...
I mean, I think we all tend to write riffs for the most part, but you know, Tosin will write his own riffs, I'll write my own riffs. We usually try to write a variety of riffs that can work together. And then, you know, little by little, we'll kind of get together and start adding drums, start adding all the other elements. But generally starts from one of us. Like Tosin was mentioning with Arithmophobia, Matt kind of just started with the whole song really with just drums. So that was his riff, you know. We went in and started kind of doing the reverse of what we do with the guitars and drums. And it just kind of...
I would say it's concept driven usually. Like when Tosin's working on like one of those techniques, there's some like kind of pivotal thing that he's working on that he's trying to apply in music. And yeah, I feel like that I'm that way too, like concept driven.
Not too dissimilar from etudes where there's like a motif or a focus and the composition is revolving around this singular idea. Like if I'm learning a new technique or harmonic concept, I try to do it musically. So like my practice is incorporating some musicality as opposed to just like mechanics, and so usually some sort of music emerges, and then I'll present it to them, and we'll build it together from there.
Often, like if I'm not a big fan of just like going up and down my scales, so what I'll do is start trying to come up with a riff and combine it with another sort of combination to come up with a practice little lick, if you will, and then try to figure out how to convert that into a song similar to what he does. It just tends to be at least keeps me interested in that practice routine that I've come up with for that day or that week or whatever.
You smoke a lot of weed too, right?
A lot.
It's like,
if anybody has some, holler at your boy.
Out of curiosity, at what point in the composition process do you guys write stuff down? Is it only after the fact? Is it as you're building?
Well, him and I well after, maybe not ever. Matt always is scribbling little rhythms and stuff like that. He's the only one that can do that out of us three.
yeah, we're not like learned musicians. We both.
Yeah, you are. Come on, come on. This guy was taught class. They like to. Don't listen to guys when they say that. This guy was learning classical at 3 years old, had an amazing teacher, was learning these crazy etudes. Tosin started at like 16. He was doing like Incubus, but then he went to college. My dude did go to college. He got a college education.
Called out.
It's a good trade school education.
I played a few Limp Bizkit songs, it's true. No, but I think the difference is Javier did kind of apprentice with like a Spanish classical composer, but it wasn't like it was transcribing. It was like almost like an oral tradition, like mimic this, memorize this, repeat this, and it's a little different than sitting in a room with a whiteboard, So I think we have an internalized sort of relationship with music, and I think Matt does too. But then he went to the Berklee Institute of Music and probably can do 4-part polyphonic interval recognition or whatever. I don't know what they're doing.
I'm bad with pitches. I just know that I hit the drums. And, it's like it's either high pitch or low pitch.
Or compared to these two,
sometimes
these guys.
Yeah.
These guys are like doctor, scientist level musicians. So yeah.
When you play, I just must tell you, when you play guitar, I have a feeling like you were studying violin like from the age of 4, and this fluidity, and just a complete laid back, relaxed, that comes out. I spoke with some people from the orchestra. They're like, how is it just possible? And don't tell me that you started to study music at 16. You just actually didn't take the instrument in your hands before that, but you studied it since you were born, probably. I mean, it's just amazing.
I think all of us as musicians probably felt something about music even before we ever got an instrument, and that's why we decided to dedicate our lives to it. So, yeah.
Well, on behalf of the festival and the orchestra, I really must thank you for accepting the invitation, and it's such a treat and an honor and really elevating experience from us all. I mean, I enjoyed it every minute. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Another question?
Hey guys, I flew in from Toronto this morning, just to see you guys. My 4th time seeing you guys. First of all, congratulations as being accomplished musicians, sincerely say that. And at the same time, I think as metal musicians, creating your own sound and your own style of playing is very distinct. I think you're critically acclaimed as being maestros. I consider you guys as maestros, honestly. But I wanted to share with you guys at the same time. For myself, I used to play guitar. I'm now wanting to study it again seriously. Thank you to you guys and your music. And one of the things that I find myself, when I'm listening to your music, really dissecting the time signatures. It is at another level, and every time I'm listening more and more, I just find like, wow, you guys are so clever. But at the same time, how do you come up with it? So my question for you, I guess for the musicians here, is when you do compose your music, do you have a particular formula that you follow? Is it based in math? Is it based on particular scale structures and you just get together and throw it up? Or do you have any suggestions for people like myself on how to go about practicing your particular style of playing?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, honestly, we listen to a lot of odd meter music. And so it just becomes part of like how we want to hear things. So I'm gonna be honest, I'll deliberately like subtract a note from a measure just so it won't be.
I was gonna say, it's like explorative for you.
Yeah,
It's explorative.
Yeah, but I think what makes this different, there are a lot of odd metered, phrases that repeat maybe in 7, and they reliably repeat in 7, but we've started doing a thing, and we didn't originate it, but it's layering an apparent quarter note pulse and a snare placement that implies like a meter of 4, and then having a syncopated odd meter phrase cycling at the same time. And so, oh, sorry, you asked. You asked.
I think we've all been doing it for so long too that it's actually almost easier and natural for us to write an odd meter than writing a song in 4/4. I mean, ask me to write a pop song, it's way harder, like a punk pop or something.
Yeah, it's actually, but what's interesting is that the Western tradition of music is like even meter, but Indian classical music, there's a lot of odd meter stuff, and Malian music too, and it's interesting how to them, like, 9/8 might feel normal, or whatever the case is.
Also, Balkan music,
Balkan
full of 7s and 5s.
Swedish, anybody?
Now you're just making stuff up.
You sure? One Swedish band is extremely influential.
I think it's similar to a diet, right? So what we put in comes out,
I would say it can be mathematical, like you can view it that way.